Here we go, KCM week number 5, boys. 2 in a row on a hot streak. In fact, we've got another one coming up tomorrow. So we're going to have a very KCM week here right before the ASL starts. We're getting started with best versus mine. Super low win percentage for Terran again here this week, Shun, despite them taking week number 4 by storm.
Right, yeah. And also, we got Colorless Fate as our first map. Sane and I were doing a little bit of investigation on what was going on with the gap between those eggs, and quickly figured out that it was a 20 pixel high gap. And Zealots, despite being a tiny bit fatter than those Hydras, are actually shorter. They're like 19 pixels tall, whereas Hydras are slightly more than 20 pixels tall, which explains a lot now.
It still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, well, how come a Hydra den over top of a hatchery allows Hydras through, but it doesn't allow Zealots through? That's still making me confusion. There's a lot of questions. Another thing we found out, though, and we didn't mention this before, is, and this will probably never come up in a real game, is that ghosts cannot fit between that gap. As ridiculous as that is. You can fit Zealots between the gap, but you can't fit Ghosts. I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had a map where they've made it like that. Because Ghosts are probably one of the most skinniest units besides, say, like a spider mine or a scarab. But I guess they are pretty tall, so that's why they can't fit through.
Yeah, I guess they're just a little bit taller than that 20 cap. We're still figuring this out, guys, but it seems like this is going to be the last iteration of Colorless Fate anyway, so what we're working with right now in KCM is going to be the final version. It'll be used in this upcoming ASL, so we can at least lock in on that.
Yeah, I doubt we'll get many versions of these maps change from this point onwards. And it's starting to make sense, and we're not as confused before, and obviously workers can't fit through because workers are 23 pixels both wide and tall. But you can obviously mineral walk them over once you get over to your opponent's side. So yeah, you reckoned it was what, like a 35-second rush distance or something, scouting wise?
Yeah, somewhere right around there. It's about 10 seconds longer than if those eggs are not in position. It is still a pretty long rush distance, but with those minerals, like you said, you can get in relatively quickly. But Best just gonna barely see, I think, that SCV with the retreating vision. Gonna try to sneak over into this main, but the Marine is really well placed here for mine, knowing that that probe is going to go over towards the mineral patch, allows him to get some really good damage on it early and prevent any sort of a scout here from Best. He's just going to turn that around and head quite far back here, denied by just a single Marine, and doesn't really have much information, whereas mine's getting in and seeing absolutely everything.
Yeah, he's going to see that this is going to be a pretty greedy Nexus first. Not even making the double gateway before core to be extra safe, and obviously there's a lot longer rush distance sending that vulture around the map, so pretty safe to go for a Nexus first here, unless it was something like a BBS out in the middle or down towards the south here. Yeah, it looks like Mind seeing if he can hunt down maybe a hidden probe in the top left. Equally Best checking a few proxy spots just to make sure he's going to be safe, and it doesn't look Mind has really any option of punishing this. I guess maybe he could throw down a starport, go for some drop play. That would be an option.
Yeah, I mean, making a dropship here could be a reasonable method of making up some of this deficit. It's not a huge deficit, but with just one factory, it makes me feel like he might be going for a follow-on starport. Mind is one of those guys. Okay, there it is. There's a starport over at the top center. You kind of gotta expect this from Mind. He is so tricky in the way he plays, similar to like Piano, just big brain, a little bit faster than Piano, but very similar in the way he approaches the game and approaches Terran.
Yeah, I think the starport follow-up is one of the most common reactions to not being able to punish the Nexus first early. It makes a lot of sense, but I imagine Best will be thinking the same thing, so won't be too surprised if he has some Dragoons in his main base to thwart this. Right now, though, Mind moving out with a small skirmish force. This is more of a pressure / escorting force to try and get some mines out on the map towards Best. And looks like he'll be somewhat successful with getting a couple of mines down, maybe. Ideally, he wants to mine up these additional bases here towards the center and the bottom right.
Alright, Tank, getting a little bit glitched out there, but Best not interested on diving on this army just yet. Gonna bring the Zealot to the front first. He targets down the Vulture, not able to get a mine there in front of those Dragoons, and one egg has been killed. Is this the meta game on Colorless Fate right now? One egg is going to allow the Dragoons to slip through, but it's still a very tight entrance to try and push, so Best is going to utilize that very well to shove back this army quickly. Gonna have a little bit of a hard time taking this third base, though. There's still a mine here. I think he just cleared the mine by losing a Dragoon.
Yeah, he did.
So that's a little bit rough. We'll have Dragoons back in the main base, though. Dude, he is so ready for this. Mind is sending this dropship in potentially to its death. I hope he doesn't commit. Dropping off the Vultures. Immediate dive on the dropship? No. Gonna focus down the Vultures instead. Running to the natural, but there's just Dragoons absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. Like, the starport makes the most sense as a follow-up, but that means it's so easy for the Protoss player to prepare for it. And, you know, Best went for triple Gateway Observer as a follow-on, which means you've got extra production, so you can have Dragoons just about everywhere, and has navigated this flawlessly. Another option would have been to go for like a mine triple expand here from Best. Against Best, but Mind, I guess, not so comfortable with that style, or just not choosing it on this map. Maybe it's a bit harder to execute. I'm not so sure. We haven't seen that yet.
That build takes I feel like it takes more understanding than a lot of other Terran styles. You really have to have everything mapped out perfectly, and on a brand new map could be difficult. He's decided instead to go with aggression, and aggression has not paid off just yet. He's gonna attempt to go for it again, it seems. Just a secondary attempt might be the ticket. However, Best is just completely spread out. So many Dragoons in this main base. He's not budging from this position at all. And he's only got the one observer in front of the natural watching everything that Mind's doing. He is sewn up so tight. 6 factory follow-up here from Mind?
Yeah, well, at least 5 for the time being. He's playing a much more mid-range style. I don't hate it, especially with how the aggression has gone. You kind of need to have some timing potential to punish Best in the mid-game. Bit of a vulture run by in the bottom right. Actually does slip through and gets about 4 or so probes. It's not terrible, I guess, also denying some mining time, but it's certainly not ideal here for Mind. Best is playing borderline perfect so far, and yet again coming in with the dropship, but Best is having none of it. He's still prepared in that main base, not going to be falling for the tricks of Mind, although he does sneak around and tries to slip in a vulture towards the southern side of the main base.
Oof, that's not going to work. Reaver's right on top of it. Everything just getting shut down so well. Best in a fantastic position. Now even going to catch this dropship as well. Ooh, Mind paying the price for being a little bit inattentive of that drop after the fact. So I'm not so sure about this upcoming push, man. It doesn't feel like it has a lot of weight to it. after going for these drops and having them fail, Best is going to have so many Dragoons. And he's already catching this push as it starts to push forward, coming out here to meet this in the center of the map and most likely run this man over. I think that Best has set himself up in a perfect position to annihilate the upcoming push. And oh my gosh, just gonna go in for the drop. He doesn't even need the Reavers to fight this army, so he's just gonna send it in. This is really scary, Shun. He's gonna do a ton of damage, and I don't think he can just push through the Dragoons either.
No, yeah, this is looking pretty deadly here for Mind. It's a nice idea to try and follow it up with a Five Factory. He will clean up these Reavers relatively swiftly, but the damage has kind of already been done. He doesn't really need these to defend the push, and it looks like his Dragoons did wreck some of the army that was in the center of the map, because a lot of the forces had to turn around to defend the main base, and now Mind instead just going to expand to the top left. His timing attack has basically fallen through, and pretty soon Best is going to have leg enhancements and a ton more gateways worth of production, so Mind does have to play a bit more of a defensive game from here on out.
One thing I'd like to mention about the map, Colorless Fate, the changes that have come through recently have seen these geysers at the top left and bottom right reduced to 3,500 gas, as well as the bases further towards the middle of the map. Those have both been reduced in their gas count as well. 6 and 12, and the bases next to them at the top and bottom of the map are full gas now. They were actually lowered to about 3,500, and then they were brought back up to 5,000. So little balance changes here and there, but it's going to make it harder for a Terran player like Mind, who can't really push, to get full value out of the 4 bases that are going to be on his side of the map.
It'll also make it harder for ZVP as well. It seemed like Zergs were having a bit too much of an easy time just sitting back and powering up on a few gases worth of base. So yeah, I can maybe see that being a necessary balance change, but like you said, it's also going to affect Mind here. He's going to be forced to expand more quickly towards vulnerable locations as well. It's going to make it that much easier for Best to finally bowl him over. I think that Best can't attack into him right now with how he's set up on this 3-base configuration, so Best looks like he's double expanding towards the top right and the center towards the left. And I think that makes a lot of sense here from Best. I don't think you want to really do too much committal into the defensive formation of Mind. Maybe a bit of Storm Drop harass, I think that's fine, but besides that, I think it makes a lot of sense just to power up as much as possible now.
Colorless Fate has a lot of very tight, narrow entrances and alleyways. Pushing through one of these Terran positions could be absolutely brutal. However, that tank clump, kind of juicy. If he could drop some zealots on top of that, maybe get a storm, it's possible to break through, but I don't think it's necessary to even give it that a second thought to give that a try. Instead, just going to drop right on inside the main base. So many zealots are going to be dropped out here with a bunch of High Templar storm on every single SCV. Brutal down, 14 kill High Templar there. And he's going to follow it up with one of the natural. Oh my goodness, Mind absolutely eviscerated.
Wow, I mean, I was expecting some kind of storm harass from Best, but not quite as this effective, and he's still going. Oh my gosh, what a butterfly effect of storm. I can't even think how many SCVs these High Templars have killed. At least 30, it seems. That's absolute insanity. I mean, look at the supply difference after even losing the shuttles and all the zealots. It's absolutely insane. I mean, Mind kind of has to go all in and try and maybe see if he can push at the moment. I don't know if he can just sit back and macro up anymore. It doesn't feel like it's a wise decision. Maybe he's got enough army he could push across and maybe get a good fight against Best after Best just committed so many units, but I'm not sure Mind even feels good about that decision.
No, I don't think there's any way to smooth this one over. It's just bad all the way down, and oh my goodness, carrier tech behind this. So even if Mind were to sit and rebuild SCVs and go for a longer game, he's going to be in a worse and worse position because of that carrier transition. 130 supply to 190, pushing out doesn't seem feasible, but staying home is kind of a death sentence as well.
Well, with all the SCVs lost, the supplies don't tell the whole story. You know, the army supplies are a lot more even than they actually seem. But it's still not an easy task for Mind. The reality is Best is just playing an absolute great game on the back of this Nexus first against Mind, and not giving him any space to breathe and collect himself. And just when Mind will start to restabilize, he's going to have the additional threat of those carriers, and I seriously doubt he's going to identify that quick enough to be able to have the prerequisite number of Goliaths to do a push timing to punish this. Right now, Best can't really make a lot of these carriers because he's obviously maxed out. But if Mind tries to pull the trigger too early on the push timing, he'll just get squashed by Best as well. There's no easy answers here. He either needs to expand or push, and both of those choices will get punished.
Yeah, there's no easy answer at all. I'm sitting back and just building up upgrades at this point. I'm not sure if that's the ticket. Mind has the double armory. He's got a pretty decent tank count. He's nearing max supply. We've got triple carrier on the way. Bass is taking the entire rest of the map. I'm surprised he's not taking 12 and the bottom left as well. Might as well start throwing down Nexuses everywhere because he is completely maxed. He's got a bunch of money banking up now, and Mind is finally going to start to move. Can he start to make a comeback here? Can he make some progress before the carrier number gets too high? Counterattack towards the natural is not going to make much progress. Mind starting to move forward, but he's got to be very tentative with all the storms that are available, and such a tight choke. It's going to be deadly if these storms actually land on the bulk of the units. Ooh, pretty good damage on those front vultures. If the vulture number gets too low, you know what Best is going to do. Completely bowl this over with speed zealots.
Right, yeah, and the little poke into the natural there from Best was predominantly just to free up a little bit of supply to start the next round of carriers, so we can go all the way up into 6. And still has a pretty scary army, although maybe Mind can trade well with it in these tight corridors. It is possible that maybe Best makes a bit of a blunder with how he engages the army of Mind, and if Mind does a good scan and identifies these carriers and starts pumping out a ton of Goliaths, it is theoretically possible for the Terran to still win from this position, but it seems very bleak. I don't think there's a lot of hope here for Mind. Best is navigating this so perfectly and is buying so much time, forcing the Terran to siege over and over again. That's just gonna get more and more carriers ready when they finally are brought to bear. And yeah, I just don't see Mind turning this around at the moment.
He's pulling together all of his tanks. I don't think he's seen the carriers yet. We've got 4 Goliaths at the front, and there are about to be 6 carriers on the field. Storms on these Goliaths as well, bringing them very low to end up going down, and so the anti-air available is very limited. Some more Goliaths being made. I guess he might have sniffed this out, seeing that Best is just not really willing to engage and just coming forward so slowly. He must be suspicious at least. Mind. Just pure Goliath tank production at this point. Definitely what he needs, but is it enough of what he needs to actually break Best? Best going to come forward, try to get some storms over this wall. Zealots eating a lot of damage, and the D-Matrix at the front is actually fantastic, keeping that tank alive and keeping this push rolling while Best is being pushed further and further back. When will he reveal these carriers? When is he going to begin attacking with them?
Very soon. He's just waiting for some more interceptors to finish up on those newly acquired 4th, 5th, and 6th carrier. But, I mean, alarm bells should be ringing in the mind of Mind. Like, the way the army movements of Best have been performing, it really does indicate, like, a stall-out play for something like Carriers. So I don't think he's too surprised to see the Carriers. Question is, does he actually have enough here to stop this? A few D-Matrixes helping out with the unit trading, but it doesn't look like there's enough Goliaths on the field. And brilliant play from Best as well to, like, run behind enemy lines and start hitting this newly acquired 4th base, and also helps cut off the reinforcements of additional Goliath shutting down the Carriers here. And I think pretty good movements from Mind. He's fighting reasonably well considering the deficit he's found himself in. He's reduced the interceptor count slightly and also trying to target fire down individual carriers once they overextend, but it doesn't look like it's going to work out. He's now got 9 carriers. Oh, this is definitely a GG moment, and Mine does tap out. What a well-executed game from Best. He was really on form today.
All right, Best puts out an excellent match versus Mind. We're jumping into our next match with Hero spawning in bottom left. Of course, opening with the 9 hatch. Seems like this is the only way Zergs are playing on this map, and I'm sure they're going to start to get metagamed because of it.
Yeah, maybe so, but I do feel like it's the best build order on any map where you've got fastest patches. It just makes the most sense, and Best is a Forge first kind of guy, so Hero has to respect this. I imagine he should be pulling a little bit more than just these 2 drones to react to this. There's a 3rd drone on the way now. Let's see how well he can get these drones over the back of these patches in Turk Mineral. Seems like so far Hero not doing a great job of it. And yeah, the probe has an additional support of another worker coming in here. 4 drones total trying to fight this back. Put a good damage on one of these probes. And actually trapped the drones behind. Oh, this is a bit of a bizarre situation. On the one hand, it's good that Hero is denying the probes from getting back there to make additional cannons, but it's still not going so great for him thus far. And the probes theoretically could get back there if needed.
I think this is a perfect setup for the sunken colony to get range. He should be able to range the sunken colony from here. This other sunken colony, or moving it over like this, is a little bit funny. That other drone actually out of range to be picked off. Even though it's trapped back there, it can't be hit by the cannon. So I feel like this is actually going to go kind of Hero's way. He was forced to build some Lings, of course, but as long as he uses the glitch, which is you attack the pylon and then you rapidly click the cannon in behind it, as long as you can hit the pylon, you can increase the range of the sunken colony to knock that down. And look, he saves the hatchery. He's got the sunken colony. He hasn't lost any drones either. This is a really nice start for Hero, in fact.
Yeah, it does look like once the dust is settled, this is definitely going to work out a lot better for Hero. Also got that 3rd hatchery on the way. Kills the probe scout very swiftly as well. Yeah, this is definitely lining up to be a Hero-sided game, I feel. And theoretically, he could also Ling Flood from this position to punish Best if he only stays on 1 cannon. Could just do a Hydra Bust as well. But there's a lot of options available to Hero to go on the counter-offensive now, because Best is going to try and min-max to make up for the failed cannon rush, and could then find himself punished to some aggression from Hero, potentially.
Surprising that Best didn't build a 2nd cannon with that attack. Usually you see 2 cannons thrown down at least. Unfortunately, only dealing damage to that first hatchery. It might set him up for a potential snipe later on. There's that possibility in the Zealot Corsair phase that something like that could happen, but it's a little bit unreliable, and it might actually bait Best in to a bad trade if he really goes ham for that. It's so tempting, guys, it really is, but it could actually throw a game that otherwise might be winnable.
And Hero doing the expected thing of delaying the lair and just throwing down a 4th hatchery. It's very common on this map to delay your tech as Zerg. You can just get so much more economy by building additional hatcheries with the fastest patches, and as long as you've got a few Hydras back at home to defend against the Corsair, it makes a lot of sense. You just can't make the Spire and Scourge quick enough to deal with the Corsair timing with how fast the Protoss tech can come online. So it makes a lot of sense to play it this way, both in terms of having the options of being aggressive, having a good economy, and just kind of changing the dynamic of the ZVP matchup on this map a little bit.
Ooh, Best goes around the Hydras here, so he only sees the Hydra now. He had a 3rd cannon on the way, but bit of a safety cannon was already made in this wall. 3 cannons, though, might not be enough. Just 3 cannons for now. Probably want to go up to 4 or 5 in order to be totally safe. The 4th begins, but the gateway is under threat. I believe the cannon should be safe, though. You'll have to commit all the way in to fighting the cannons if he actually wants to break that forge. So likely Best will save it and get his +1 attack finished on time. Hero not really sending too many more Hydras across the map, and he loses an Overlord here. Yeah, drones on the way from Hero. Not the most successful fake Hydra bust, but he at least forces out some cannons and gets the gateway, if not that forge. Zealot's coming out. I guess Zealot speed is about to finish. Why is he just jumping on top of these Hydras? There it is. Zealot speed finishes up right as he's engaging with those Hydras. He managed to pick off a fair few of them, actually, and will get the Overlord pretty quickly thereafter. Best on the warpath. Can he actually find a way into killing that natural base that's so juicy and tempting?
It's possible. I mean, the Sunkens aren't yet established, so maybe you can get over here to the 3rd base and get on top of that before enough Hydras are mustered. Seems like Hero might barely be able to macro his way out of this situation, especially with some drone drilling, buying time for that Sunken to pop now. So we'll be forcing those Zealots to tuck tail and run. But equally Best, he's expanding quickly towards the 12 o'clock, so kind of defending by attacking right now, and might even be able to get a couple of these Overlords while the Hydras are distracted by the rampaging Zealots.
Oh my goodness, I mean, that's a crazy fast 3rd base run. We rarely ever see Protoss players getting away with a 7-minute 10 3rd base. It's just absolutely unheard of, but off of a failed cannon rush as well? That's crazy. I'm not sure if Best will be able to hold on to that, but he's done such a good job of killing Overlords and slowing down the Hydralisk count, slowing down the drones. I guess this works out well for him, right? I guess Hero had to hold a lot of Hydras at the natural to make sure that that hatchery didn't get sniped, and so he's able to get some pretty good damage at this 3rd.
Yeah, it looks like it's working out for Best. I mean, sometimes you'll see Protoss players like try and take a 3rd off of like 5 gateway production, but Best has essentially done this off 3 gateways of production, at least after the gateway went down in the wall. So it is a bit insane to go for this, but with the fastest patches and slowing the Zerg down a bit with the failed cannon rush, yeah, it does seem like it's working out nicely for him. And the Zealots did their job, both helped him supply block Hero temporarily and also kept him on his side of the map, so there's no timing to quickly punish this 3rd base. There's going to be cannons and High Templars here, as well as a DT roaming the map, also going to be helping slow things down. Everything is lining up for it to be a pretty good transition for Best. Like, off the back of a failed cannon rush, this is one of the most impressive follow-ups I've seen in a long time.
Man, I tell you, as a Zerg, you get this scout off as over at the top center and see the cannons and High Templar already established at the 4th base. It's a heartbreaker, man. Like, Hero is he is in a ton of trouble, and he had 2 choices. He can either immediately take a 4th and try to catch up, or he can try to break that third, and I think he's identified. There is no way he's breaking that. There's so many cannons and so many High Templar. Even if he throws his entire army in there, he might not break it, and then the counter from Best would probably end up killing him. So he is going to try for suboptimal fourth base, try to catch up to Best, who's going to have an enormous 3-base push.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like Hero maybe if he gets enough lurkers out can try and contain Best a little bit indirectly here. If he can like wedge between the natural and the third and force a bad fight out of Best, this could work. Oh, he's picking off the High Templar. This is pretty good so far from Hero. If he can keep Best locked into his main base, it won't matter too much that he's not got this third directly contained. There's not a lot of units there, so if he keeps Best locked in, keeps expanding himself, maybe he's gonna go for a drop play. That makes a bit of sense. Maybe this could work as well. I don't see any High Templars in the main base.
Dude, Best is so on top of it. Oh my gosh, he's got so many Dragoons in this main base. I can't believe it. Neither can Hero. He turns and runs away. Probably lost a couple of lurkers, potentially some Hydras in there as well. Lurker drop at the natural, giving his best shot here to try and deal some damage to Best, who's just rocketed ahead in overall economy with that super fast third base. There we go. The pump fake drop into the main after being denied there initially nets him some damage at the very least. Getting in here, killing a few Dragoons. Not quite able to get on top of the probes though with the lurkers and actually wipe out that stack of workers. So satisfying when you end up getting the kill on that stack, but gonna be denied for now. Hero just gonna have to go back to the drawing board, maybe continue with these drops. I don't really see another option here for him. Can you really hope to get into a hive play and take Best in a long game after this type of mid-game?
I mean, maybe. It's not going to be easy. Going back to what you were saying about how satisfying it is killing those stacked workers, that's the build I've actually been using in 3v3 fastest lately, basically going like 5 hatchery into early double lair and basically dropping all 3 of my enemies at the same time with a pair of lurkers, and it's so satisfying killing them all. They just don't expect to be lurker dropped at like the 7-minute mark.
Pushing up onto the high ground, so many zealots now that it's almost undeniable. I mean, he's just letting the zealots fight directly into these lurker spines, but it doesn't even matter. He's got enough storm, he's got enough dragoons to keep pushing things back, but another round of Hydras arrives just in the nick of time. Dragoons will be shoved away for now, but the trades are kind of huge. Hold on a second. Hero is pretty darn far ahead in supply right now. That was actually a very reasonable trade. I mean, letting the Zealots run up the ramp like that might have given Hero another chance, another opportunity in this game.
I think he's playing it out really well. I think that it's the most obvious choice to temporarily contain Best while expanding. He's doing a really good job of it, and eventually those mineral patches in the main, despite having about 1700 yield, which is decent, they do mine out pretty quickly still. He's going for another drop.
Is that 11 Overlords? 12 Overlords?
Yeah. I don't think this is going to go too well. This High Templar's already in position. Surely he turns around.
Holy cow, that was the most doom drop I've ever seen in my life. Incredible amounts of Overlords. That's like that's a ladder game move for sure. But Hero, I mean, better to turn around and just keep those units alive right now. If he lost that entire army and all those Overlords, he would be absolutely out of this game. As it stands, he's still hanging in there. He's got even supply, but his overall tech is just not growing at all, and Bez is going to sneak one shuttle around the top side. This could be devastating to the economy that Hero's built up over this time.
Yeah, gonna drop out a few of those invisible men. And I don't think there's any units nearby to respond to. There's not even an overlord to tip him off that there's some red dots about to run into that base. He's going to be totally blindsided by this. Meanwhile, Best trying to take this fourth base and also being intercepted as more and more units cycle down here. Hero getting on top of that rallied units and absolutely blowing apart Best's army. So even though Best is definitely going to do a lot of damage up here in the top left, equally he's going to sustain a lot of damage himself. Probably will get that hatchery killed by those DTs, but does it matter? It seems like Hero, after blowing apart the Protoss' army, this still looks like such a hero-favorited game now.
I don't know. I mean, bringing him down to... bringing Hero down to 3 base versus 3 base. Well, if this hatchery survives, and he can keep 4 base economy rolling, maybe this can be still good for Hero. That was a pretty smart move from Best to try and take that 4th to distract Hero while the DTs were going in, but he may be committed too much. He lost a lot of High Templars. Now here comes the Hydras up onto the high ground. Finally, Best has a bit of a foothold up top here. It was so hard to get control of this plateau, but he's finally got the army up there. He's going to start pushing forward against the lurkers. Not too many Hydras are available, so the Dragoons are going to take a really nice trade against these forces, and suddenly Hero is dropping further and further behind in supply. 2-1 is done. 2 armor, 1 attack for Best. It's likely 1-2 for Hero, and now that he's no longer contained, Best can go anywhere on the map. He can attack any of these bases, and Hero's going to be scrambling to try and respond to every different location, every different attack path. Big storm on the back army, the flanking army there. Hero trying to flank this with a strong contingent of Hydras, but he's just not able to trap the army in. The Zealots are going to come down into this base as well, and Best can back away while the Zealots do their job here at the bottom center.
Yeah, Best doing a good job of causing some chaos. Eventually, though, Hero is going to clean up this force at the 6 o'clock. I think these are some really nice moves from Best, but I don't think there's enough tempo to get far ahead. He's kind of like semi-all-in at the moment, trying to bowl over Hero before Hive can finish up and Defilers are out, and the whole game shifts in its dynamic. Let's see, though, there is a chance still that Best can win on tempo alone. While Hero is kind of scrambling to bring all of his forces to bear. Still quite a lot of Dragoons in this army. Plenty of Storms remaining for Best as well. Couple of Observers at risk of being sniped. One of them goes down, the other one could fall as well. But Hero is actually not targeting down that Observer, strangely, so still can clear out these lurkers nice and quick. And there's a chance that Best, after securing this high ground position, can kill this base at the 6 o'clock now.
Yeah, it looks like that base is probably going to wind up going down. Man, if the Observer had been sniped, this game would be a little bit different. Storm, no Storm for these lurkers from behind, so they get an excellent round of spines on top of a lot of this army. Drones have yet to escape, so in fact all the drones at this base are going to wind up going down. I think the army of Best will die, and he hasn't taken a 4th just yet. Storms on the army. Finally, High Templars make their way across the map, can soften up all of these lurkers, and the Hydras are just not quite high enough in number. Oh, maybe actually, is he gonna save this? Wow, he saves the base. The very last couple of units, 2 Hydras remain after that fight.
Absolute insanity. He's got the Hive finished up now. Hasn't quite thrown down the Defiler Mound. Maybe won't need it. There's another train of units from Best making their way to that top left base now, and a shuttle moving out towards the southern hemisphere as well for Best. And Hero's still kind of scrambling. He's got hardly any units. Oh, but he is going to egg block this ramp up here in the top left. There will be some storms to help clear that. But it does buy him a little bit of time to get some more forces up here to intercept this. This could have been a deadly attack. Reblocks the ramp as well with another egg. Perfectly done from Hero. gonna absolutely gobble up all of these units alive, and that's starting to put a dampener on any hopes of Best making a comeback. Shuttle also can't really get in here and do anything with the Hydras in position. Best just relegated to taking a 4th base and sitting back and powering up, but now Hero's gonna get more and more ahead.
Wow, what a crazy game. After all of that, Best unable to get up the ramp over here at the 3rd. Gets eaten alive by Hero's remaining army. And Hero's on the warpath. He should be able to shut down this 4th base if he plays his cards right. If he flanks from 2 different angles, it's unlikely that Best will be able to hold this. There's just so much Zerg coming across right now. He's got access to drop. He's got Lurker, Hydra, and Ling trying to run directly into this army. Targets down to 1 of the High Templars. Still a few storms left over. Ooh, great storms on all these units coming up the ramp, but the Lings have managed to make their way through to the front. Storms over at the top left are going to eviscerate all of these drones, but Best will not hold this 4th base, and without the 4th, is there any hope?
I don't think so, yeah. It's really nice that he got that storm drop off in the top left, but with the 6 o'clock mining, it doesn't matter too much here, just because of how much tempo Hero's got, and winning these fights in such a significant fashion, just going to make it that much harder for Best to secure additional expansions. Another follow-up on the storm drop. Doesn't quite get as many drones this time, and I just pick off the shuttle on the exit. Everything is looking like a Hero victory at this rate, and even this base at the 12 o'clock, because it was taken so early, it's gonna be mined out far quicker than the expansion of Hero will.
I'm flexing the record here right at the end. No, I'm not sure exactly why that popped up on screen, but I don't think it was from either of the players. So Best push all the way back into a corner now. He has to take the 4th. This is it. The final hoorah, the final battle is going to be for that 4th base, and he's already sending up some DTs, Dragoons, and High Templars to try and take dominance over that area. Hero spreading himself out, making sure that he has a wide access to hit this from a flanking position, immediately sending Lings over actually towards the top center. During this moment of chaos, can he actually break this base? Hero doing a lot of damage, but 2 cannons will remain. Army going across the map for Best. It looks like no 4th base in the cards. He's just going to go for broke and try to win right here, right now. We've seen crazier wins from Best, but this is looking dire. Hero has Lurkers over on the side, but he gets stormed. Where did that storm come from? It came from the high ground. Makes all of those Lurkers die off at the same time. Base is about to be broken at top center, but as well down at the bottom center. So many probes and in this line. As the Lurkers take them down, the last bit of income from Best rise up.
Yeah, this is looking pretty bleak from Best, and very valiant comeback mechanic though, sniping this base at the 6 o'clock, but losing his own base means he'll be long distance mining. There's no hope for him. He's gonna have to tap out. GG is called, and despite how good he played against Mind, Hero equally putting on a great show for us today.
Both Best and Mind have already been taken down. Hero has the opportunity for a potential all kill as well. Sharp coming out. If he takes down Hero, Effort, and Soulkey, man, what a crazy run that would be. But he's been playing pretty well recently, taking out Soma in the last week of KCM.
Yeah. Sharp is no one to sneeze at, man. Definitely one of the better Terran players in terms of their current condition. Players like Russian Light, maybe a little bit stronger than him, but he's a worthy contender for Hero. Let's see how he navigates this map on Octagon. I mean, I'm not always the biggest fan of Sharp's TVZ style, but I still feel like he's capable of some pretty big upsets. We've seen some crazy games from him where we just would think that there's no way of him winning, and he still manages to figure it out. So I still have a lot of hope that he can take the fight to Hero, and really happy as well that Hero is putting on some way better games than recently. He's kind of been in a bit of a slump for this past year or so, but in recent times he's been showing up so much stronger.
형님이 뭐 운유적으로 이제 표현을 하려고 하신 건데 조일장은 소리 소문 막 내면서 셉니다.
Yeah, I'm looking Hero's current form.
ASL 공무원, 4강 공무원인데.
He's looking prepped and ready going into this season of ASL, and
소리 없이 강한 느낌은
we can't say that of all the recent seasons. Like, he's been on and off.
소리를 많이 내는 거죠.
Glad to have him back and kicking here. We'll see how far he ends up going. A long list of strong Zergs, though, at the moment. So many great Zergs. We got Effort, we got Jaedong, we got, of course, Soma. Solki as well is looking on peak form, man.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty common, right? Like, when ASL is round the corner, so many of these guys look way better than they usually do. Some of the guys train year-round and they don't really change in their form too much, maybe getting a little bit sharper towards the ASL tournament, but some of these guys are a bit on and off, where they only train a few months leading up to the ASL and kind of have a bit of a break or a bit more of a relaxed attitude towards the game in between the seasons.
그 등급이 있잖아요. 저는 약간 C 등급 약간 이런 선수 평을 받아요. 근데
some more than others, right? Like Rain's relaxed attitude, not quite on the same level as some of these other guys. Just you know, their idea of relaxing is, you know, playing 5 games a day or 10 games a day, right? And then Rain's idea of relaxing is staying up till 5 a.m. at karaoke. You know, 4 nights a week or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. He's just got he's another level of relaxed mindset, but he has not made it into ASL this season, so we can be fairly confident that he is not, you know, peaking or really attempting to, you know, hit his stride in Broodwar, leaving a lot of other openings for other strong players like Protoss players like Paralyze, who've made it in, and of course Shuttle, you know, the GOAT,
right?
He's also in there as well.
And we've also got the Zerg HM, the Terran ladder guy, Shiny. Shiny's like frequently the highest ranked guy on ladder, but just doesn't show up to these offline events ever. So it's kind of exciting to have him in the mix as well. I don't think these guys will go like super deep into the tournament. I think like they'll be happy with like a round of 16 finish. If any of them can make it into the round of 8, that's going to be massive.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to see upsets in the ASL, of course.
Right.
It's always more fun when you get to have some crazy results that nobody's expecting. Doesn't feel quite like going through the motions, and I think that's the reason why they throw in crazier maps, by the way, is to make sure that there's a bit of a chance for players that are a little bit less skilled, not quite as strong as their opponent, to you know, get one over on them by pulling out a strategy that their opponent's not expecting. Anyway, we've got Sharp opening up with a +1 build. He's going to throw down 3 racks, going up to a 4 racks follow-up. Meanwhile, Hero has opened 2 Hatch Mutalisk and thrown his 3rd over at that top left natural. So taking the natural instead of the main. We've seen a lot of players take the main recently, but this was pretty standard for a very long time, taking the natural, and it might be coming back.
I like this style a lot. I've been doing it for years. It feels it's a little bit weaker to some of the Terran timings, but if you get away with it, it's stronger because you can sunken up that base like you do your natural if you need to, and you get access to a free 4th gas rather than having to fight over it by leapfrogging forward with Defilers later on. Let's see how much damage Hero can get to the economy of Sharp. It's going to take him a few extra seconds for the 7 mutas to all join forces and start one-shotting these SCVs. He's already killed 2 of the Marines with the Zerglings earlier. It's going to make it just a tiny bit easier to come in here and put on the hurt to Sharp in the natural.
Sharp has some pretty good turret placement, but already 3 SCVs have gone down, 4, and a 5th falling as well. 6 is getting a little bit ridiculous. 7 is too much. Sharp gonna start to head across the map, but he is hurting with the amount of economic damage that's already been done. I think 1 Mutalisk fell during that shot.
Yeah, I don't think he took much damage, and I actually don't like the turrets. I think he should have had a 4th turret to the south in between the minerals and the gas. I think you really need to respect the Muta harass. I don't know why he's only got it's basically only 2 turrets covering the minerals. It's actually very light on the defense, and it's cost him dearly. Like look at how healthy these mutas are. Like if they're going to be killing that many SCVs, you at least want to make the mutas softened up for it by taking 3 turret shots at a time. And now there's not much counterplay available. Good target firing though from Sharp does eliminate a Mutalisk. But it's going to be really rough here. He needs to join forces with these 2 bio blobs. Does catch the bio outside of the reach of some medics and shaves off a little bit of it here, but with some good target firing can make up the difference. But I just don't see a timing here for Sharp to punish the lack of defenses from Hero. Hero's kind of having his cake and eating it right now.
Well, gonna continue with this harassment. Gotta give some room for Sharp to make a comeback. He is so good with his dropship play and keeping things scrappy in the mid game before Defilers are out. And even after Defilers are out, he's still pretty wily when it comes to pulling these Zerg players apart. Hard to keep up with for sure. Hero continuing to make mutas, building up a very healthy number of mutas, but how's that going to affect his transition as he tries to switch into lurkers and hive? He might be looking to actually knock out this entire army, like wipe out the Marines, and if that doesn't go well, he might be in a bit of trouble with the Hydralisk Den just finishing up in this hive on the way now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very greedy style from Hero. It's very glass cannon. If he's not careful, he will be overrun by the timing from Sharp. So far, though, he's doing a good job of continuously pulling back Sharp's attention to retreat and defend against these exposed depots and the SCV line. But the bio ball is getting bigger and bigger, so eventually Sharp will be successful at moving out across the map. Question will be, has there been enough time bought for Hero to finish up some of those lurker eggs? He still hasn't got those Hydras finished up and morphing, so he's really asking a lot of himself to keep this bio ball down to a manageable size and not allow Sharp to come across the map. It's a big ask, but so far he is pulling it off.
More SCV damage. Is that really necessary here? I guess just to pull back the Marines a little bit for more snipes to be available. He's doing a great job of just delaying and delaying and delaying, and there's the lurkers finally. So it seems like he's held him back long enough. Sharp will not make it through that natural. He can still try to push towards top left potentially, but that is also dangerous if a flank comes through and the mutas and Lings and lurkers hit all at the same time. If he loses this bioforce, he is almost dead in the water. It'll be an easy transition for Hero from there. Lurkers run forward. One of them targeted down super quickly, but that's a lot of lurkers to try and deal with. Not sure if Sharp is ready to dive in on top of that and try to fight. And in fact, Hero just going to pull back for now into a straight line with all the lurkers, making it infinitely harder to attack into.
Yeah, I mean, the top left was the obvious choice of attack there, but unfortunately it's a longer rush distance to get across the map with the bio to attack that position, and eventually there will be a Nidus setup, and Hero did manage to finish up a couple of lurkers there with a sunken. And maybe there's an opportunity for Hero to do some drop for Sharp, sorry, to do some drop play this game, but the problem is that you don't really want to reduce your vessel production to do so. And with how far ahead Hero is, it kind of puts you between a rock and a hard place. Like, if you do go for drop ships and they don't work out, you're pretty much just dead. And Hero's going to have access to 4 gases for free real soon. But, I mean, Sharp has to do something. He can't just play a normal TVZ and and actually win, I don't think. Hero's just set up too nicely at the moment.
It does feel like a difficult situation for Sharp. Just double expanding and trying to play out a longer game might be a hard task, but if he can start to create some chaos for Hero with either dropships or just putting on pressure with these vessels, there are going to be chances. There's always the possibility of Terran breaking through suddenly into one of these bases and quickly ending the game, regardless of how much early game leverage Hero has, regardless of how many drones he's made and how good he is economically, what good position he is in. If he doesn't have a Defiler at the right place at the right time, if Sharp is able to sneak in, there's always that opportunity. Double irradiate on mutas. I think actually Hero's going to be happy about this. Having those two first irradiates go onto mutas means that his defilers are going to be safe initially.
Yeah, it does kind of work out. I mean, it's only good to put the irradiates on the mutas if you're going for drop play, and he's still got a lot of mutas left for the anti-drop potential, so yeah, it's not looking ideal for Sharp, to say the least. He's taking a third base, he's now taking a fourth and double expanding and delaying his additional barracks from being planted as well. Like, he's been on 4-axis this entire time. He's only just now starting to make additional production facilities. It's not the worst decision ever. That's the kind of the problem. If you lose the mid game that much, where they've still got tons of mutas left over, going for drop play can be a death sentence as well. So he's elected to play a much more reserved style, but that's also gonna hurt his chances, since Hero's gonna have access to a 4th gas and won't take long to get into his Ultralisks.
Oh man, this is a tough position. I mean, respect to Sharp for just trying to gut this one out. He's gonna play a longer game. He's gonna try to go full Mimetic Plague right in the center of all this. He wasn't able to pull back in time. Big mistake there from Sharp, not getting these units out of harm's way in time. Just needed to cast a radiate on that Defiler and back away, but ends up eating a massive first flag. That's hurting his chances even more as he tries to get this irradiate grind going. Gonna come forward, throw down a couple of these irradiates. Looks like he will get a Defiler finally, but Hero is looking to be completely sewn up tight. More Defilers over at this natural, ready to go at a moment's notice. Plenty of units to back them up, and Ultralisk on the way here soon.
Yeah, another problem for Sharp is that one of these bases are mineral only, so he doesn't even have access to his own 4 gases to go crazy into like a lot of BCs or something either. There's no real easy options here for Sharp. The pressure's doing reasonably well. He's catching quite a few of these Defilers with the irradiates over and over again, but doesn't look like he's gonna be able to accomplish much with that. Hero is only going to keep growing, and the Ultralisks are going to be out soon. Chitinous Playing's going to be on the way. Maybe Sharp can decide to go for something like triple starport BCs. He's landing the science facility now, so I imagine that has to be a physics lab, and we'll be going into those BCs. It makes the most sense, but without access to additional gases, it's going to be hard to pull off.
For now, staying just a little bit ahead of Hero in terms of his armor or his attack upgrades over that armor carapace upgrade, and that's very important. At least he's just a little bit ahead and won't be matched with that carapace. Some dropships are out now, but it's a bit late at this point. Building dropships now, probably not going to be very effective. Ooh, pulling forward the irradiated Mutalisks to do extra damage versus these SCVs. He actually killed a lot there.
He did.
Using a bit of a reverse eraser trick on these SCVs to get rid of so much of the economy of Sharp. And now that he's backed away from the main army, Sharp is, or excuse me, Hero is just shoving forward. He's sent a little group of lurkers and defilers around the outside of the map, and he's gotten himself quite close to the natural, uncomfortably close to the third base of Sharp. Nice pullback with those vessels. Regardless of what else has happened, the amount of vessels he's managed to accumulate is actually quite formidable. Sharp still has so many, and I think this is going to be the first one to go down. So pretty good control for his part, at least thus far.
Yeah, he's got some a small squad of dropships as well, stacked up, ready to be utilized at some point. Is going to delay the expansion of Hero here to the 12 o'clock, and equally going to be taking an expansion himself over at the mineral only in the bottom left quadrant. But now Ultralisks are out and are more or less fully upgraded, so the pressure is going to be on Sharp here. He will be having some BC soon, but they're not quite online to shut down the gas income for Hero, and they won't be helping out a whole bunch underneath these Dark Swarm clouds as well. Hero forcing an evacuation order on this mineral-only expansion after losing a bunch of SCVs at the 6 o'clock. It's hurting his economy a little bit, but he has enough banked up to keep everything flowing nicely for the time being. Is he going to find a hole in the defenses of Hero to fly these dropships in? Maybe top left is exposed enough that he can sneak in there with those dropships and cause some absolute mayhem for Hero to have to clean up. But it looks like he's going to be going for the main base. It is the better target for all the tech buildings, but I think it's slightly better defended.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy, Shun. He's just gonna go balls to the wall, sending these straight up the pipe directly into the main base. Look at all the army in that main just waiting to eat up those units. Sharp heading into the meat grinder, but this drop behind all the tech is actually quite nice. He might be able to kill a lot of overlords, and there is a defiler on the way. Once that dark swarm goes down, he won't really get too much more, but he's targeting down the evolutions. He gets one evolution chamber. Was that the important one, though? This could actually be game-changing if he kills the correct
He gets both.
evolution. He gets both. He gets both evolution chambers. Huge swing for Sharp.
Yeah, that's massive, because +3 Carapace and +2 melee were definitely on the way, and the +3 Carapace wasn't too far from being done as well. So yeah, this is a massive potential swing here for Sharp. If he can just hold the line back at home, he's got an upgrade advantage with that 3-2. And does lose a few of these vessels on the retreat, though. That's going to hurt him out a little bit. Hero actually currently ahead in supply. Might not matter too much that he doesn't have access to these additional upgrades if Hero is able to win on tempo and shut Sharp down before he can fully stabilize himself. We've had that physics lab for some time, and we haven't yet seen any BCs. I wonder if he's going to start trying to produce any of them soon, or if he's just realized he hasn't got the gas necessary to allocate towards them. Seems like the latter. Hero going for a bit of a ling stab now, trying to overwhelm this mineral only once again, and at least forcing another evacuation. But look at how much bio is approaching the natural expansion of Hero. Luckily, a defiler quickly throwing down a dark swarm before dying. Maybe he can try and sneak around that dark swarm and put on the pressure, but a lot of Zerg units flooding out of the Nidus.
Ooh, the target fire on that defiler as it was coming out of the main base. Oh my gosh, so many SCVs, even with Marines standing slightly off to the side, just minding their own business as all the workers go down. Absolutely brutal. Sharp did a pretty sick move there, running into the natural and trying to snipe down all the defilers and get a bit of a tempo win by breaking this natural. Not gonna work out for him though, and Hero is far ahead in supply at this point. Sharp is just about mined out in the natural, and he is drying up back at home. Still has 2,000 minerals in the bank, so he can make a lot of Marines, but his overall vessel count is getting lower and lower. He hasn't been able to mine from that third base for a long time, and And wow, is this wow? He's just making these evolution chambers now. I thought he would make those
Right.
immediately after they died. Hero so far away from getting 3-3.
Yeah, that's one thing that could help Sharp make a comeback in this game, but he's gonna need additional gas expansions to really seal the deal, I feel. He hasn't been able to mine on that newly established mineral only on the left-hand side, but wouldn't hate him trying to sneak a base into the bottom left or something, or maybe even on the right. Just needs to ideally get a little bit of extra income to help save the day. Putting pressure onto this 12 o'clock base yet again. If he can stop Hero from expanding, that's a big win for him as well. Hero right now has a massive lead, but he's also kind of scrambling, trying to deal with the upgrade advantage of Sharp. Needs to make sure his unit engagements are as stellar as possible. Another beautiful plague onto that massive clump, but some D-Matrix Firebats shoving it in the front door. Can he get in here and maybe take out the Ultralisk Cavern yet again? It's right at the front, easy to snipe down. It's so low on HP. Does he target it down?
Ooh, it's so close, but it will survive. Ultralisk Cavern lives, and the base at top center, more importantly, stays alive as well. Fifth gas is going to tip Hero over the edge in terms of what of production limits. He's going to be able to pump so many ultras from these 5 bases and go toe-to-toe with the Bioforce regardless of how many upgrades they have. That upgrade advantage has kept Sharp alive for such a long time, but it can't last forever. And now that that base has been taken out at 12 o'clock with just 4 gases, and we're past the 21-minute mark, so really just 2 gases and maybe like 2.5 gases. Hero is gonna have a hard time. This drop is doing pretty well. That Firebat absolutely cleaning up so many lings, and you know what? This is doing so much damage. Oh my goodness, what is this? 3 Marines at the end of the day? Barely clearing up so many drones. Crazy what Sharp's able to do is so little.
Yeah, he's actually starting to make it happen. Eventually those upgrades will finish up for Hero, but still a little bit of a ways off. And if only he could just expand, sneak a base down into the bottom left just for the gas, and keep that trickling in, and keep non-stop vessel production, maybe a 3rd starport. And could even think about maybe a few BCs here and there. I think they could definitely win this game. Even without that, there's a chance of him winning. And trying to overwhelm Hero right now in the natural. And while he's distracting him, he's attacking at both locations simultaneously. There's no lurkers or anything to fight under that Darkstorm for the time being. Finally, some links coming out to try and save the day, but the Marines have enough time to push behind the mineral line, avoid that Darkstorm, kills the Ultralisk Cavern yet again. Is Sharp gonna have another crazy comeback here in KCM?
This is insane. I mean, there's lurkers in the main base, and there's lurkers over here as well. Oh my gosh, Hero misplacing his lurkers. I mean, there's 2 lurkers in the main base in top left that have just not been used during all of this chaos. I mean, we are seconds away from a deciding battle here, so not having those as a part of that is so brutal. He's actually going to clear out the Marines and medics in the top corner. Barely not, actually. That killed the lurker. Are you serious? Holy cow, he's doing it. He's doing it. He's breaking him absolutely everywhere. The top left, mostly broken. The natural is just falling apart, and finally battle cruisers make their way in right as Hero is fully up against the wall.
And he sniped these Evo chambers yet again. There's a second one being targeted. It goes down. No more upgrades for Hero, being cancelled on those yet again. This is brutal for Hero. He played such a tight game, but after losing those 2 Evo chambers, the game is slipping through his fingers more and more as time goes on. I mean, Sharp is basically operating off of bases that are about to be mined out, but it doesn't matter. The tempo is more than enough enough to seize the victory. What a seriously sick comeback from Sharp. His style can be a little bit weird in TVZ at times, but he seems to be one of these Terran players that manages to clutch victory from the claws of defeat again and again.
Monstrous performance from Sharp. Absolute banger of a game. Nobody really does it like him, man. The pressure, the constant back and forth. Looking like he was on the absolute edge of defeat, but finally able to grind Hero down and break him in that longer game. Now going up against Snow. It's crazy. What a statement from Sharp. Taking down Soma yesterday and then taking on Hero in such a fashion today. Is he just going to get smacked down by Snow once again, though?
It is possible. It is a bit of a tricky map as well, but so far Terrans have been slightly outperforming the Protoss players on this map. A little bit surprisingly, this is the 3-player remake of Katrina from back in the day, called Alos, or however you're supposed to pronounce it. I'm still not quite sure about that. Probably will be a Nexus first here from Snow. It's a very good map for the Nexus first with that back expansion. It is a very wide open front, but it doesn't really matter too much. Just being able to expand away from the Terran with this bit of greed definitely helps out a lot.
Yes, no. We'll be taking that expansion right off the bat. No surprise there that he's going to be opening with a Nexus first, but I'm getting such deja vu. Shun, was this exactly the same map last KCM with Sharp versus Snow, where we had a bunker rush? And this exact position.
I think so, yeah. And he was pressuring the front of the bunker rush, and he also miscontrolled his vulture, and it wasn't shooting probes over the wall. I think that was the game,
crazy.
yeah.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
I think
so.
Yeah.
That's wild. I mean, it's pretty funny that we're seeing almost the exact same setup to start this off, but no pull from Sharp just yet. He's going to be looking for his opponent for a while yet. Sent the SCV down to bottom right. We'll see if he wants to pull his workers and try to go for the kill when he sees this. Didn't work out so good for him last time, but it looked like it was doing all right. It's just the bunker had a hard time coming up, and it was a really good defense from Snow. I'm just waiting to see, is he going to pull it or not?
Well, I'm not even sure this was an 11 gas from Sharp, strangely enough. But the timing of that factory finishing, I think it was a 12 gas. I could be mistaken. Would make it a little bit harder to punish this Nexus first from Snow. He's moving out with the Marines. Let's see if he wants to put on... Yeah, here they come. Here comes the boys. So he is going to be putting on a lot of pressure to Snow once more. But Snow spots it with his probe scout. Doesn't know the SCV train is coming, but he can make some assumptions. Let's see if Sharp's going to be able to execute this a little bit more slick than he did last time around.
Yeah, last time it was just a great block from Snow. He's going to throw down a pylon over here on the left-hand side, make it harder for... Oh, he actually throws down a shield battery, getting on top of the Marines, though. Oh, man, the Marines go down so quickly and unable to block with the SCVs, and one solid still alive. Wow, that is a huge problem now. He forces the cancel on the bunker rush. This is kind of over. I don't think he can really do anything with this. He's, gonna restart the bunker and just go after the pylon. Why did he cancel the bunker to restart? That's a question for the ages, man. Not really sure what was going through his head. But he will kill this pylon. A secondary pylon gonna follow this up. No second Dragoon pops out. That's huge. Without a second Dragoon, even if he finishes range, it's going to be very hard to kill this Nexus.
Yeah, at the moment, this is going a lot better than the other bunker rush we saw on the previous week of KCM. Hasn't got that many SCVs left alive here, and with the shield battery, you have to wonder if Snow probably can clean this up eventually without taking too much damage, but not really mining a lot on this main base with the probes being pulled. But so far, so many SCVs have gone down for Sharp that doesn't really matter. Like, as long as Snow just defends this, it's fine. Even picks off one of the vultures there, and pretty soon we'll start being able to clear out this bunker. And because of the shield battery, it's actually drawing fire a lot from this bunker, so it's not doing much DPS to the gateway or the Nexus either.
Okay, tank has arrived. SCVs are still here in large number to block for it, and the gateway will fall. That'll start to concentrate fire from the bunker onto the Nexus a little bit more, bring it closer and closer to death. 5 Dragoons though. 5 Dragoons already, and a 6th will be popping out soon. Range is seconds away from finishing the moment it does, and there it is. It does finish. He's going to start to jump on top of SCVs. He's going to start to deal damage to the bunker and threaten to dive on the tank as well. He goes for the tank. Tank going to go down. He misses initially to kill that immediately, but finishes it off with the 3rd volley, and the 2nd tank falls as well. Driving a wedge between the reinforcements and the bunker means that Sharp really can't get over here. He's going to try to come up now with Vulture, some mines, and a Marine, and he actually gets another Dragoon. This is such a scrappy bunker, or excuse me, bunker bust. Yeah, is he going to get the Nexus? He gets the Nexus! Oh my god, he pulled the probes to try and take a little bit of damage. But it's not enough. The Nexus goes down. Incredible.
That was some miscontrol there from Snow. Like, the Dragoon on the bottom was in range of the bunker and it actually went down while he was distracted. And yeah, that could cost him. Losing that Nexus now makes this game way harder for Snow to clinch out. He's still in an okay position. It's not like the game is over because he lost the Nexus, but suddenly the game just explodes open for Sharp. No longer is this a major problem, and yeah, he's gonna ramp up to 3 factory worth of pressure. He's gonna keep his foot down on the gas pedal and try and overwhelm Snow while he's throwing down the Nexus and cutting into his unit production slightly by getting his tech online. He's trying to get the Robo and Reaver tech, but won't necessarily be able to afford non-stop Dragoon production as a result. Maybe there's a way that Sharp can just bowl him over right as he's trying to get everything set up again.
And even with everything Sharp did, the damage that he dealt, it still seems like the defense was good enough, and Snow's looking great here. He's got so many Dragoons sitting up on his high ground. He's got his Robo done with Reavers coming out soon. This 3 factory is going to have a heck of a time dealing with Snow's Reaver, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, even though this makes it easier for Sharp, he did lose a lot of SCVs to kill that Nexus, has to be remembered. He pulled so many to the front, and pretty much every single one of those SCVs ended up dying, so he didn't have a big economy back at home to be able to expand and play a normal game. So he's trying to go for a bit of an all-in play with this triple factory setup, but as you pointed out, he's going to have Reavers in time. He did cut Dragoon production to afford all of this, but it doesn't really matter. If he actually gets the Reaver out, I think it's just now finished. We know how good Snow is with that Reaver control. I can't imagine Sharp's going to have an easy time from this point onwards.
What a shame that we're going to see Sharp go out the same way. Basically, that he went out after taking down Soma in the last KCM. Crazy how good he is against Zerg right now, but Snow is just such a different animal, and I wasn't willing to play against his Nexus first, just straight up. Wanted to get a cheeky win by going in for the bunker rush. Now he's going to be diving in with his army. This is all in, absolutely all in. And unfortunately for him, he's going to be losing every SCV on his side of the map, while Snow continues to produce, and continues to produce Reavers too, by the way. More Reavers are going to pop out here soon. There's only 4 tanks to try and deal with all of this. The probes are off the line and helping out to body block and just deal damage. 5 kills on this Reaver already, and there's nowhere else to mine. So there's no more income coming in. Sharp is stuck at 115 minerals, and he's still trying to fight this out. The fighting spirit is crazy.
I can't believe that he was so confident that he just kept the Reaver in Sharp's base and is basically defending this with a handful of Dragoons and probes only. Like, he killed 3 tanks with like 4 Dragoons or so, and just pylon walled and threw down a gateway to block so that the units can't get in there and punish Snow. Absolute insanity, man. This guy is on a different level with his unit control. Finally, the Vultures breach through, but now there's another Reaver out. More Dragoons have popped out. Beautiful Scarab connections. That should be GG. Sharp taps out. And history repeats itself here in the KCM, unfortunately, for our Terran player.
Sharp has been eliminated, and that means all kill prize is off the table. Sean, are we going to make it to 10 million?
I think so. I really do think so. Rush has been the only guy to break the triple kill streak that we've had. Only like 4 players in the last few seasons of KCM have been able to get 3 kills. It's usually 1 or 2 kills max for each player. At this rate, I really do feel like we're gonna get that 10 million all kill prize.
That's got to be a record. I don't think I've ever seen 10 million before in all my years casting KCM. But I'll have to go back and check, man.
I don't think so. I mean, there was quite, I wouldn't say a lot, but there was definitely fairly regular all kills, right? When we first started out casting KCM, like, it felt like every season there was at least 1 all kill happening.
For sure. It's kind of nice to see somebody just go absolutely Super Saiyan and just smash the entire squad, but I'm really liking the current trend of just everybody on a very high level competing and nobody really able to dominate. It feels good.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue at least for this week. Anyway.
Yeah, it makes it more interesting, in my opinion. Ooh, doesn't quite block the hatchery there. A little bit of a mess up from Snow, I would say. I think he could have easily blocked that hatchery from going down, but also didn't know exactly what build Effort was going, because he didn't actually see the second Overlord, so this could have been like a 9-pool 6-ling configuration from him. So also was wanting to keep the probe ready to check the main base, and that just helps Effort out a little bit, planting down that hatchery on time. Gonna be a gateway expand here from Snow. Well, let's see what Effort wants to do, whether or not he wants to ramp up the pressure on this gateway expand with consistent ling production, or if he's gonna play a macro. Effort is such a macro god, but he's kind of like Sulky in the sense that just because he can macro really well doesn't mean he's not going to punish you either.
Wow, the Zealot went the long way. Has managed to avoid vision. And the probe, meanwhile, did that actually block? Yeah, blocked and forced the 3rd hatchery off to the side. That's brutal. Zealot in the main, causing some havoc. 2 lings in the main of Snow. This is a true test of skill. Who's actually able to keep up in a situation like this with so many things going back and forth, not able to trap those lings behind with the probe. He went for it. He gets a drone. That's huge. 1 drone going down for Effort is absolutely massive. 1 kill for this Zergling, though, means he's traded back at least 1 probe.
Yeah, it's slightly better for the Protoss to kill a drone than it is to lose a probe, but it does give you some compensation to make up for it, so definitely kind of evening things out a little bit. But the block at the 3rd base does kind of make you think that this is working out better for Snow so far. Let's see if Effort's going to make more and more Zerglings to try and punish this late forge in the natural. Could try and overwhelm this gateway. I think I don't see any additional lings popping out just yet for Effort. So yeah, it looks like it might not be that ling all in, and probe hunting down that ling as well. It's one thing I've noticed more and more from the Protoss pros, at least, is when they got lings in the main base, it's more and more common for them to try and hunt them down proactively rather than having to constantly lose out on some mining time.
Well, this makes sense. I mean, with the off-center hatchery, I was thinking maybe there was going to be like a quick fourth hatchery at the third base to try and fix the mining, but Effort's just going to throw down a Hydralisk Den and try to Hydra bust. The base at 6 o'clock is super far away, even further than the natural, in fact. So that's a little bit rough for Effort, but he's been forced into a supremely awkward position. He's going to try to make the best out of it by doing a bit of a Hydra bust to follow this up. We'll see how committed he is to that, because I feel like he just wants to be out of this game right now. This has just gone way too wrong.
Yeah, it's not a comfortable game to play a normal macro game on after these early game shenanigans. I don't hate the response to go Hydra Bust, but usually you only go Hydra Bust against Gateway Expand, at least 3-hatch Hydra Bust, if you've killed some of the Zealots off. But he did manage to trade off at least one of those Zealots with the Lings after forcing them to come out and defend the Forge, so that's something that's going to make it just a little bit easier for this Hydra Bust to maybe be successful. Also needs to transfer an Overlord or two northbound, ideally, just so there's no option of DTs clearing up this Hydra Bust later. He has got this one Overlord parked over this high ground triangle at the third base, so that's something. That's a little bit of insurance policy for Effort here, and killing more Zealots with these Lings is actually really huge, and it's also selling a false bill of goods to Snow. Seeing the Ling speed, seeing that many Zerglings, he's going to be thinking, okay, maybe there's not a Hydra Bust actually coming my way, and that might help it out be more successful.
Well, Effort reveals his Hydras. There's only the one cannon so far. With 4 Zealots, he can try to block up the natural a little bit and buy some time for these cannons, but it's gonna get harder as the wall falls down. This is really dangerous for Snow. Very quick block though, moving the Zealots forward right as the Hydras come in, denies any kill on these initial few cannons, and he's bought enough time, it looks like, for a lot of these to finish up. A very nice hold from Snow. Behind this, extra hatchery coming down for Effort, so he still does have a chance to rectify that mining at the third and be okay. Wow, cancel on the third or fourth cannon. 4 cannons I feel like is the bare minimum to hold a Hydra Bust, but he's gonna go ahead and cancel that, try to optimize to absolute edge of what's possible.
Yeah, I don't hate it. He got confirmation with the Corsair, but it is a bit ballsy because you don't know for 100% that there's not a couple of Hydras out on the map in transit that you didn't quite identify with that Corsair. He did get a few cannon shots off on those Hydras to soften them up, so maybe it felt like he was safe enough to do that. It is definitely ballsy, but you do have to min-max in these situations as Protoss just to guarantee a stronger mid-game against the Zerg, and he knows Effort is such a macro god as well, and honestly macro is like one of the biggest weaknesses of Snow, but also his optimizations. But he's gotten a lot better at his optimizations, but as you can see, his building placement and his macro is still going to be hurting him a tiny bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's not really the placement of the gateways, but it's the pre-placement of the pylons. Gotta kind of map that out ahead of time, so that the gateways fall into place and everything flows correctly. Historically, that's been a weak spot of Snow. Now that he's unleashed on the map, gonna try to put a little pressure on. There's been a huge droning cycle from Effort so far, and his economy is looking very, very nice, but doesn't seem like there's any holes in his game, any room to pressure with these zealots going down immediately and this number of hydras out already. The transition is well underway. Very impressed at effort for putting out such a good game here after so many things went wrong in the early game.
Yeah, and effort is such a scary macro Zerg, man. Like, I don't envy Snow at all in that regard. I think effort stylistically is a pretty much a direct counter to Snow. So I feel like the longer this game goes on, the worse it's going to get for Snow. I feel like he has to stay in the driver's seat in some way, shape, or form. And so far, despite those early game shenanigans, seems like effort is in a pretty formidable position. Got another trainer zealots making their way onto the map. Some hydras kind of out of position. Maybe these zealots can do something, but I don't think there's enough of them. More and more hydras ready to join the fight if needed. So Snow just kind of relegated to... Oh my gosh, he's only just now remaking the forges in the main. That's actually a little bit slow.
Wait, that's crazy. Yeah,
that's a problem.
Not normal at all.
That's a big problem.
He's going to be way behind in terms of upgrades, and I mean, he's got the gateways really fast because of that. Maybe a bit faster than he would have otherwise. Like if you remake the two forges immediately, that's a 300. That's 300 minerals. That's 2 gateways. Plus, you're going to be starting both the upgrades. It's another 200. It slows down the gateways a bit, but it gives you opportunities in the later game. If he doesn't get some damage going, I'm worried for Snow now. As these upgrades start to finish for effort, he's just going to get further and further ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he's caught a Mutilator score 2 here with the Corsairs. I guess that's something. Oh, some Scourge come in. And now the Corsairs take a slightly suboptimal trade. They're all softened up now. 3 of the mutas, though, very low on HP. But yeah, I do see this as being a massive problem for Snow. I mean, effort's already so good in macro games that having any kind of mistake, I can't imagine that was deliberate. I have to wonder if that was just an oversight issue for Snow, and you know, he was like thinking that everything was going well, plopping down loads of gateways, and then realizing, oh damn, I didn't remake my forges. It's gonna really hurt him in the mid game. The one thing that would compensate is if he can get this third base online undeterred. That will kind of even things up for him, but effort's still gonna have 4 bases worth of macro, and yeah, I think no matter which way you slice this is gonna be a tricky game. And as you can see, that with the gateway placement, it makes it harder for the unit circulation of things like Dragoons as well in the main base for Snow, which hurts your rally points coming in to quickly reinforce at the front. These are very slight, like very minimal things, but every second is precious in StarCraft, and it could end up costing him later in the game.
It is funny the consistency of like the bad placement from Snow, but another kind of crazy early game. Suddenly he's in a position to be throwing down gateways. He's not ready. I mean, this is such a labyrinth. Look at that gateway on the left-hand side. Whenever a Dragoon pops out of there, he's got such a long pathway to get out of the main base. But
yeah,
it is what it is. We love this player, and really StarCraft players in general do have their own individual flavor. It's what makes StarCraft so interesting.
Yeah, the idiosyncrasies of all the players do give them like a different flavor, and it would be kind of boring if StarCraft was a game where all the players were just carbon copies of one another. So I really do like that there's this like digital fingerprint that they each have, and you can almost identify what player it is just based on things like their building placements and what have you. Okay, some harassment with the Corsairs for Snow. I like that he's being proactive with these. There's no point making a bunch of Corsairs and just like letting them chill out on the map. If they're not going for a Muta Scourge based army, then you might as well roam and harass as much as possible, and also use them to identify additional expansions. Effort's taken the bottom right base, almost catching one of these High Templars, trying to suicide his Mutas in for the kill. Doesn't quite get it. That's a little bit of a victory there for Snow, but on paper right now, Effort is quite far ahead with how late these upgrades are and how much his macro is starting to explode.
That that economy is pretty ridiculous. So many lurkers and hydras coming out right now, and Snow's not quite at that 2 control groups of dragoons, standard mid-game army where you can just ground and pound absolutely everything. Storm on the bottom side, holy crap, running directly into that. That's not going to go very well for Effort, but overall has so many more units. Can he just bully his way directly through everything? He forces the cancel on the 4th base at the bare minimum. Another storm on the bottom side dealing a ton of damage. Does he have one more storm to drive back these hydras? Hydras on the bottom side actually taking a great trade against these zealots and dragoons. Not many dragoons supporting that small force, so Snow driven back once again. That was almost disastrous though. Effort running directly headlong into storm on that bottom side.
Yeah, the unit control definitely was lacking there for Effort, despite having such formidable macro. Maybe it would have been wiser to kind of like poke into the natural and force the army of Snow back while you're splitting off some units to the 12 o'clock to go for the counter. It seems like he's now trying to rectify that by rotating around the right-hand side of the map to put pressure onto this 12 o'clock base now. Maybe it would have gone a lot better for him if he'd done that initially. Either way, though, still Effort in a bit of a lead, but now this buys time for Snow to respond. Oh, will he lurker egg block the ramp? And indeed he does. Can he get a snipe on this Nexus as Snow is trying to get up on top of this high ground? So far hasn't put much DPS onto that Nexus, instead going after the probes, and another counter attack here at the 4th base yet again, trying to get a cancel on that. And indeed Snow forced to cancel. Some High Templars out of position at the natural as well, going to be targeted fired down by Effort. So much mayhem for Snow to try and clean up all at once, and behind this it's a 5 base Zerg, so this is only going to get worse for Snow as the game progresses.
So much damage on those probes, and Snow is absolutely limping after all of that damage. 6 kill lurker over at the 3rd base, still waiting on a observer to pop out so he can finally clear that and get back to mining. A little bit of a bank has been gathered up here from Snow, but he'll probably be wanting to throw that into another Nexus at the 4th. It's starting to become crunch time for the Protoss army. He needs a 4th base, or he's just going to fall so far behind. It's going to be nearly impossible to keep up with the Zerg macro with so many bases now fully functional and ready. He's been unable to put on literally any pressure to Effort. He's just trying to survive, and he's in another survival situation here as so many Hydras come up from many different angles. There's not even a single lurker in this army, but Snow's still having a hard time battering this back. Effort will be turned around, but I mean, this was just a tiny fraction of the army for Effort at this time.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is an absolute monster. He's known as the Alien Zerg, not just for having a slightly interesting look to him, but also his ability to play the game. Like, just look at his APM, close to 500 for more or less the entire game. Absolute macro powerhouse. Maybe, though, if he makes a few blunders with these unit engagements, Snow can very slowly grind him down and turn the screws with some very good Sonic Storms. You can see one of the biggest weaknesses of Effort is his army control, eating so many powerful Sonic Storms from Snow to help the Protoss gradually turn the tide. He is encroaching upon that rally point location of Effort now, and there's not a lot of lurkers here. There maybe is a chance for Snow if he's got enough energy left on these High Templars with a few good placed storms. Maybe there's a way of breaking through.
Oh my goodness, the storms just raining down on this army. Effort still holding his ground for now, but there are a ton of Dragoons backing up this force. No Zealots for the front line though. Dragoons starting to fall. He's just absolutely going for it as a few more High Templar come forward. There's an Archon at the back of this army as well. He needs that for the front line as it's mostly Lings popping out at this point. That Archon with 28 kills needs to get over here. It's got full shielding, and I mean, we're so close to breaking breaking through as Snow. He's just moments away. Finally, actually brings an Archon forward. I'm not sure if that's the one that was in the back line. No, it's not. A fresh Archon here at the front, actually holding down the fort. Effort still spilling forward, though, with so many units. The reinforcement lanes are just too strong for Snow to overcome. Look at that triple hatchery at the 4th base. He's got triple hatchery at the 3rd as well, and I think 2 or 3 hatcheries at bottom right. That is an incredible amount of macro.
It's absolutely insane. Yeah, that's the one thing that Effort doesn't ever skip a beat on, is his macro cycle. So even if you do have a chance at breaking through, there's going to be so much more Zerg showing up to try and save the day. Bit of a counterattack here from Effort now, putting pressure onto this newly established 4th base. Going to be in a little bit of a Sauron Zerg mode, trying to send as much units across the map as possible after Snow dried up on the main standing army that he had originally mustered. Once the head of the snake's been cut off, it's going to be that much easier for Effort to close out a victory here. More and more Templars are finishing up, so has a chance at holding the lines, but there's only a few fractions of army on screen at a time from Effort. He's got a lot back at home that he's not utilizing, so he's kind of indirectly damaging Snow by forcing out more and more storms and what have you.
There he is. That's how you can tell it's Effort, diving forward and just picking off High Templars with Hydras over and over again. He's so aggressive with his High Templar snipes, and he is in Hive. I'm sure he's going to be getting Crackling if he doesn't have it already. These Tricoons wandering around inside the main is just cracking me up, Sean. They are taking so long to get to the front line because of that Sim City. It is what it is, though. That's just Snow in a nutshell. Archon lives barely. I mean, these Archons have been holding the line so damn well. Just +2/+2 on them, and no +3/+3 started yet for Snow. So I'm not sure how much longer he can hang on. A lot of High Templars coming forward. That is so many eggs. He's actually going to storm the hell out of that. So many lurkers are going to end up going down under these storms. That was an incredible value, but is there enough to push through? He's barely got more supply than Effort. With all of those eggs hatched, he would easily hold this army, but now it's getting to be kind of a question mark here as the army continues to shove forward. Forced back by just some Dark Storms, barely hanging on for now. Effort keeping himself alive and just continuing to swarm forward.
Yeah, I mean, Effort would have been, any other Zerg player probably would have been dead in Effort's position. It's just the macro really keeping him alive right now. But equally, some of these other Zerg players much better at controlling their army from being stormed into oblivion, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's enough for Snow to break through Effort's main battle line just yet, and Effort has expanded towards the natural expansion in the bottom right as well after his main is dried up. His natural will be soon to follow, and the 3rd base is already mined out. Maybe there's a chance if Snow can go the distance here, get the 3-3 online, and maybe take an additional mining base. There's a possibility of a comeback here from Snow, but at the moment still looks pretty dire for him.
Slipping a DT in. High hopes for that, but unfortunately not going to be getting that 17, 18 kills that he would need to start making the economy a little bit more manageable from the Zerg. Nice surround on the Archon, taking that out with just a few links. Army is so small now for Snow. I don't see him getting out of this trap alive. With just a few more High Templar coming down, he's going to try to cast some storms, make another Archon, and reinforce with some Zealots, but he will have to tap out. GG is called. Another banger game as Effort takes out Snow. And with that win, we have secured, or Effort has secured, a at least 2nd place spot for the Zerg army. He's going to be going up against Speed next. We've got Bisu in the background. Speed has been playing very well recently. I mean, for those of you who have been watching my channel, I know I haven't been putting out many pro leagues lately, but I'm going to be turning that around. I'm going to be changing that here soon. We're doing some pro league streams coming up, and
Nice.
I've heard he's been absolutely killing it in pro league, so I'm looking forward to seeing more games from him.
Yeah, it's a shame that you've not been able to put out your usual pro league content due to the traveling, but I'm sure you're having a blast ticking off that bucket list and traveling at least the Europe part of the world. Let's see what he can do here against Effort. I always find it funny how like Effort's APM spam is lower than his actual APM is when he starts getting into his macro stride, whereas like Speed is like already over 500 with his spam and will be dropping a little bit once the game fully kicks in.
Yeah, I hate to think about what my APM is going to be like when I finally get back to playing Starcraft. It's going to be brutal. Yeah, it's not going to be a fun time coming back to ladder when I finally get back to Japan, but I hope some of you guys will be there to cheer me on when I'm streaming. I appreciate it as always. I appreciate all you guys giving us your support, supporting on Patreon. Link is in the description. Giving your sub and also of course liking the video, leaving a comment, letting me know what's your favorite game so I can produce yet another best of the year video, best of 2026. It's looking pretty damn good, man. I'm getting a ton of content from these last few KCMs. There's been so many great games,
so many bangers. Yeah, like I think that's just the reason why we've not been seeing those all-kill prizes, just how good everyone is playing right now. Kind of hard to be totally dominant. Even like champion players like Soma getting taken out in pretty spectacular fashion. That's a great state for the game. I'm loving that StarCraft is being a bit of a question mark in terms of who's going to be winning and what the performance expectations are for each of these individual players are going to be. Seems like Speed not going to be doing any kind of a teched out play here. Pretty standard gas timing at 19. Looking like a bit of a bio build from him. Equally from Effort, pretty standard 2-hatch timing. Nothing crazy happening just yet.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. Speed does like to do some pretty technical builds, but instead opting for a very fast eBay, which has gained some popularity recently. It is a strong build, and it has a long history of use in this matchup. It's just coming back around again into the meta when we've had maybe enough of that like 2-port Wraith or just like crazy 1-1-1 tech play. Once that's kind of run its course, it's time to come back to bio play once again.
Yeah, it does seem like the meta kind of goes full circle as the years tick on. It's quite standard for the StarCraft scene. I think Light probably very commonly using this 4-axe +1 style. He's got his own take on it though. He's like, cutting SEVs a lot and having a bit more of a mid-game explosivity with that timing because of the SEV cuts. I wonder if some of these other guys are gonna duplicate that style eventually just to get a little bit more juice out of the orange with their timing attacks. And this is interesting. Like, look at the Spire placement here from Effort. Like, he's probably so used to dealing with like teched out builds from players like Speed that kind of was anticipating a factory opening from him.
I can't blame him. I mean, it's just been so popular recently. This is really gonna hurt him though if there's, for instance, like a tank push or 4 racks and a lot of pressure coming his way. It's gonna be difficult to hold on to that, and if you lose your Spire in TVZ, it's not just the Mutalisk that you're missing out on, Scourge as well, that are super important on to continue to build while holding on against drops, against of course vessels and You can also get into some trouble with a Radiate play or what's it called, Eraser play as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You have to wonder if that's going to come into play at some point in this game. Certainly could. A bit of a Zergling scout now, identifying that it is in fact bio play. Was a little bit suspicious of not seeing a vulture show up, but definitely want to confirm. You don't know for sure it's not a 1-1-1 build. Just because there's no vulture trying to poke into your natural. Could be some kind of weird fake out where he's hiding the vultures and doing a drop play into the main just as the mutas are coming across the map. Very good to confirm that ahead of time. A couple of scans coming down, seeing the tech tree of the Zerg, taking a third base here in the top right. And Effort though doesn't have the 7th Mutalisk. He's only got 6 here. So won't be able to go in and start one-shotting these SCVs for quite some time.
Was there not one selected, maybe?
No, I think it's only 6.
Okay, well, you can go after the turrets, but it's going to take 4 hits. That's not the best. Marine's not really reacting very quickly. The factory is actually going to be under threat. Immediate counterattack from Speed. He's just going across the map and daring Effort to stay inside of his main. If he did, he might end up losing that Spire, of course, and potentially just straight up losing the game. Effort goes back into the main. Speed's still out on the map. He actually turns around and starts to head back. Maybe he can catch the mutas as they turn and start to fly away.
Yeah, tries to go for that. Not quite finding it though. An Effort quick to respond. Definitely was a bit of a weird situation though, where Speed maybe could have just fully committed out onto the map and either try and snipe that Spire that's precariously placed, or send some units up here into the top right to quickly snipe that hatchery as it finishes up. Looks like neither things are going to occur. A lone Marine Ranger up here in the top right is going to be hunted down and won't be able to snipe any drones that pop out. And the game will now normalize, but there was a bit of a weird situation there where it could have kind of spiraled out of control for Effort.
Effort did manage to kill the SCV on the factory and slow that down by quite a bit. Speed did not pick up on that initially, so his factory is a little bit late. Tech will be a bit slowed down. Effort has his tech on the way and can start to make a bit of a transition. I'm kind of liking the position from Effort despite having this really weird Spire. 3 sunken colonies thrown down at the same time. He's just going for the counter. He's just going in for it. He's going to let the third base dive into the natural with the Lings, try to get this kill right here, right now, on top of the Marines with the Mutalisk. As long as he kills the Marines, the Lings can kill all the turrets, and that's what's going to happen. Lings kill the turrets. The Mutalisks are here just ravaging the Marines as they pop out. It is starting to spiral absolutely out of control. Speed sending a lot of his army back home, but he might be too late.
Yeah, this looks pretty devastating for Speed. I mean, Zerg players can easily finish the game with 2 bases worth economy, especially if they're doing a lot of damage to the Terran back at home. Killing so many SCVs, has partial control over the production lines of the Terran. There's no turrets here. Temporarily. Oh my god, he's going to get the eBay before the upgrade finishes. That's insane. Uh-oh, this is getting a little bit out of control for Speed now. Hasn't quite lost the game yet. And even going to get a depot here in the natural. Effort going in for another Ling stab potentially with these mutas in conjunction. Some Bioforces are retreating back home after killing that top right base. But is it going to be enough to stabilize? I mean, Effort's in a pretty comfortable position right now. He hasn't necessarily done critical damage to Speed where the game is over, but he slowed down the vessel timing, slowed down the upgrade timing, and killed so many SCVs.
Yeah, he's going to get even more damage in this main base as well. Speed is limping. He's struggling so hard. He really wants to catch some of these mutas on the escape. He needs to do it. He catches the mutas. Hey, that's big. Killing off a few of these mutas as they try to retreat. There's no third base for Effort here just yet. He set one up in the bottom left, and he's bringing forward lurkers now. So looking to get a contain over Speed at his natural. The lurkers have been spotted, though. If he spreads and splits with the scan, he's actually going to wipe this out. This is a really good comeback from Speed, actually taking down all of these lurkers before they can get the chokehold on this natural. But again, Muta's flying in, dealing more damage, killing off more SCVs. He just can't afford to take this damage.
This is insane because Speed's going to kill the hatchery in the bottom right, but he's still sustaining more damage in the main. So we're going to have a 2-base versus 2-base setup. But, I mean, Effort's still going to get his Hive and Defiler Mound finished up. It's just going to be off the back of 2 bases worth of mining. And I wonder if Speed's going to delay hitting that hatchery in the bottom left. Wait for it to finish first so that Effort can't just cancel and get the money back. Seems like that is going to be the play. Definitely a wise move from him to try and force a bigger investment in the Zerg before punishing it. But he's taken so much damage in the main base. He's still trying to set up defenses now, but Effort running in with the Mutalisks, going to be killing more and more of these precious workers. He's killed so many damn SCVs, and +1 armor still hasn't yet finished because of that eBay dying earlier. Eventually he will stabilize, but by the time he does, we're going to have Defiler Mound finished up with Consume on the way, and we could be seeing either Effort go for a crazy timing where he just runs across the map to try and get a kill move with the Lurkers and Defiler, or he could just try and translate this into a normal game as well, setting up the Nidus Canal preemptively for that base in the top right.
Both players are so battered and bruised. Like, Effort just doesn't really have much gas to work with. He's barely able to get a few lurkers out so that he can try and get this contain going. He goes around the army. That's huge. Getting in right here into the natural just as Speed moves across the bridges. That's going to be super painful to deal with. He will target down one of the lurkers. The scan goes down. Fighting with the mutas. He's actually going to clean up everything. Lurkers here are very few in number, but so are the Marines. The spread is really good. Speed is clearing out everything. I can't believe he's actually going to hold this. No freaking way. Here comes the Defiler, though.
I think that was a big mistake from Effort not to keep all of the lurkers in a tight line formation together, kind of trying to be a bit too greedy with the positioning there. He's got to drop, but we have got a Defiler out on the map looking for that kill move. Despite having that third base finished up, it seems like he really does want to end the game as soon as possible, but after sacrificing that many lurkers, just 2 lurkers remaining with some Zerglings to try and get the job done. I feel like that was a massive mistake from Effort to commit those lurkers so poorly into the natural. Now he might pay the price. Let's see, though. He actually catches the Marines unawares and does, though, delay the leapfrogging of the Darksworn clouds into the natural, buying Speed a little bit of precious time to try and respond to this, but still pretty deadly. The Lings are getting consumed up, so there's enough for 2 more Dark Swarms leading into this natural. With how delayed the vessels have been, there might not be a good response here from Speed, but he is going to drop into the top right, kill this Nidus Canal, and shut down the third base potentially again. But no, Effort actually gets in.
Oh, so big. Finally, Effort manages to save one of these bases, and now with the third operational, third time's the charm for the third to come up, Shun. It's finally coming online, and with the Nidus Canal there, it's protected. Potentially permanently. Final Dark Storm right on top of the barracks. I think that's gotta be it. Speed going to tap out, but another nail biter of a game here. Speed goes down. Terran out of the KCM first this week. Effort versus Bisu. Our next match. Set number 7. With Soul Key waiting in the wings, will Bisu be able to take us to that final game? End things off right with a Bisu versus Soul Key finisher. I said it before, man. Soul Key has been looking really good lately. He's looking like an absolute killer once again. And, you know, Bisu, not looking too shabby himself, putting up some great games in the open qualifier this season for ASL.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be looking to Bisu going really deep into this season of ASL. I would say he's even one of the favorites, especially as far as the Protoss squad is concerned. Got a lot of high hopes for him. Let's see what he can do here against Sulky. This could be an absolute banger of a match, saying, because both of these guys have been playing pretty out of their minds, and Sulky is putting a lot more attention and focus back onto his Starcraft play and playing a lot less League of Legends.
It's effort. We're watching effort first.
Oh, my bad.
Sulky's
My
in the
bad.
wing. Sulky's in the wing.
My
Yes,
bad.
effort. Played a great game. Great series so far. 2 kills on the board, and looking to add Bisu another notch on the belt before we end this week of KCM, and we'll see if he's able to do that here on Backrooms. I'm really liking this map, Sean. Backrooms is super cool.
Yeah, we haven't really seen like too many crazy plays on it just yet, but I'm sure we'll be seeing some interesting builds from players in the ASL. We did see that one game, the Valkyrie into mech play in TVZ. That was pretty interesting. I expected mech to be utilized on this map with how it's divided up in the center. Does kind of make sense for that. Not so sure about what crazy builds could be in store as far as PvZ is concerned. It's like Effort's going to be expanding to the 6 o'clock base as his third.
One thing about this map, I think it really favors counterattacks. There's so many different lanes. There's so much space to move around. Even out behind some of these expansions, you can swing around the back and hit some of these bases. So not committing to a frontal assault and going for the counterattack might be pretty strong on this map. Only 1 Ling has been killed off so far. Really good hold here of this initial Zealot from Effort. He's going to be in a very nice starting position as he drives this first Zealot away and keeps track of the other Zealot on the map as well.
Yeah, it's nice that he's killed off his first Zealot without losing a drone. That's always nice against Gateway Expand. With the cross-map position, it's slightly easier to get away with not taking losses to that. Effort has been known to kind of go all in with Ling sometimes, but with the cross-map, maybe thinking better of it. Certainly could, though, pull the trigger on making a ton of Zerglings and trying to punish this setup from Bisu. Forge is always going to be a little bit delayed in these situations, but it doesn't seem like that's what Effort wants to do.
Yeah, he's just droning up from here, keeping the pressure on, or at least making sure that Bisu can't get out and scout. It is like a form of pressure. The fact that your opponent just doesn't know what's actually coming, it puts them on a bit of a clock to get out there and figure out what's coming. So Effort putting Bisu under a bit of pressure in that regard, and gonna be having a cannon on the way, making sure that he's safe. Not really overreacting as Bisu. He's not like desperately trying to throw probes out on the map, nor is he trying to push out with these Zealots in case there was some sort of Ling flood. He's just set up his build so that the core came down before the Forge. He gets the Corsair out just that little bit earlier so he can get his scout kind of for free here as soon as possible.
Yeah, and because he's in the dark, sometimes you kind of have to sacrifice that Corsair for a confirmation scout. Usually the Scourge can get out just in the nick of time to punish that, especially cross-map scout. But with the core being before the Forge, maybe the Corsair can get in there and get out just before the Scourge are ready to snipe it. That might be the case as well. But Bisu does need to figure out exactly what he's up against soon. One of the hardest things for Protoss players, being in the dark and not knowing how to min-max their builds. You can kind of hedge your bets and like cancel cannons at 99% and what have you after getting that confirmation scout. But we've also seen like tech switch, cross-tech builds from players like Soma, where they go both quick Hydra Den as well as the Spire, and then you don't quite know, is it a Hydra Burst, is it a Muta Scourge build? Keeps you guessing.
It absolutely does. The Spire is coming up, and Bisu's gonna fly through and find find that. I don't think you can stay and kill that Overlord Bisu. That
no
seems
way.
a little bit crazy. Almost suicidal. In fact, that's wild. Oh man,
I can't believe he tried to do that.
That was a crazy move from Bisu. Does manage to break the ankles a little bit on those Scourge. However, more are in position to potentially catch this. I think this was way too greedy from Bisu, and he's going to pay the price.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to lose this Corsair, unfortunately. He's really trying hard to keep it alive, but I feel like it's doomed to die, no matter how good the juking and jiving is going to be. So far, though, he has been able to keep it alive, and we'll at least get another confirmation scout, see that the third gas is on the way. That's going to kind of make him be able to figure out that this potentially could be a Mutalisk transition here from Effort. So he's getting some scouting value out of this Corsair, despite it being in a very precarious situation.
Yeah, it's not a double Corsair play. It's not a double Stargate play from Bisu. So falling behind in Corsairs is super scary, especially now that he sees that third gas. He is going to be in trouble when it comes to anti-air if Effort's ever able to come in and snipe more of those Corsairs. He loses the first one, of course, that was bound to die. Effort sending a ton of Mutas and Scourge across the map. Can he actually out micro Bisu and get in there, break one of these positions while Bisu is pretty well locked up tight?
I mean, to be fair to Bisu, despite it being kind of suicidal to commit with the Corsair, he does get confirmation that there's Muta Scourge with it, right? Like, by the time that it dies, he sees the Muta Scourge. I think it's okay. Like, you kind of are relegated to feeling like maybe you've got a suicidal Corsair anyway to confirm what the Zerg is up to. He didn't need to lose the Corsair in this case, but keeping it committed does mean that he gets that confirmation scout regardless, so I think it's okay.
You might be right. Adding on the Archon, I think he had to make this Archon because he's kind of behind in the Corsairs. That was some really good damage on the Mutas, by the way. 3 hits from an Archon, that's going to soften up a lot of those Mutas and make them so much easier to fight with the Corsairs. Now the Corsair number is high enough to where Bisu can start to move. Is Effort ready for this? He's mostly been investing into Mutalisk for the defense. Scourge as well. A couple of sunken colonies back at home. Not too many Hydras yet, but that SimCity is dangerous. I don't think you can dive in there with just Zealots and Archons.
Right, yeah, I don't think you're pressuring into that. Looks like Bisu thinking about trying to set up a third base off of the back of a relatively low amount of gateways. I think he's got about 6 gateways. That's a pretty reasonable time to take your third base, unless you want to go for a 2-base timing attack. So many Scourge fly in, though, kill a lot of these Corsairs. But he looks like he might be able to pick off this Hydra Den. Despite not getting deep enough to punish the drone line, there are lurkers popping as well. But he actually does kill the Hydra Den. It's going to be a little bit annoying there for Effort, temporarily not being able to make any additional units besides Zerglings and Mutalisks. So, yeah, and weirdly, he's making double Hydra Den. So I'm curious, did he forget to make an upgrade on his Hydras or something? Why would he need 2 more Hydra Dens in the main?
I'm not sure. Did he start Lurker upgrade like immediately?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. The Hydras don't have upgrades. Yeah, the Hydras don't have speed or range.
So straight into Lurker in order to defend against this Zealot and Archon aggression. It's really delayed his Hydralisk transition, but he's going to dive into the main. Kill off a cannon, back away. Looks like the Corsairs might chase this down, though. He is going to find this. He's going to find all the Mutas. That's huge. Getting rid of all this. Such a annoyance for Bisu, but it's going to finally be dealt with. Bisu going to take a third immediately, and Effort just going to take a fourth himself. So we are going into a big game, and this could be just as good as Effort versus Snow earlier.
Yeah, I think Bisu versus Effort or Sulky is going to be a pretty spectacular match. match, no matter what happens. Both of them are such macro powerhouses. I genuinely get these two players mixed up sometimes because they have very similar styles. But okay, he's going to try and wrap around the back with these lurkers. Doesn't really accomplish a whole lot here with them. It looks like Bisu has the two cannons in position to stop the hiccups on the mining, but he does deny the gas mining temporarily. So there's a little bit of a win for Effort, denying that additional gas for the time being.
Yeah, Effort is quite similar to Sulky. Doesn't quite have the same accolades in the remastered era of Starcraft, but back in Kespa, this guy was just unreal how strong he was.
Yeah.
Definitely a Zerg player to look up to, and he's coming back into his own, man. I swear he is going to take an ASL at some point. Him, Jaedong, and there's a few more on my short list for sure. This fight here in the middle is not supported by High Templars, but they're making their way forward. Oh my gosh, the High Templars are gonna go down before they can do anything. No Storm from Bisu. Wait, did he forget Storm? There's no way. He didn't cast a single one.
I hope he didn't. We did have that a couple of ASL seasons ago. He did famously forget Storm on the map Eclipse. So yeah, it is possible, I guess, but surely not, right? Surely he hasn't made that kind of level of error. Oh my gosh, please don't do that on the ASL stage, Bisu. That would be devastating. Gonna be maybe losing this Forge as well. Getting a cancel on that upgrade is pretty huge. Despite not getting the Storms off, he did trade the army off from Effort pretty reasonably well. He is keeping the Zerg into a more manageable size, but despite that, Effort still finding value with sniping those High Templars and the Forge, still managing to do damage to Bisu despite getting his army caught out of position previously.
Dude, I swear he forgot Storm. Like,
yeah,
there's
maybe.
no way he had 4 High Templars and he got no Storms off. They all died. There's no shot. Isu. Oh my goodness. It's happening again, guys. It's happening again. Hopefully not in the ASL, of course, but it is funny to see him falter in a similar way here in KCM now. He is such a beloved player, but making the same mistake again is really gonna buy him some haters. Hydra is coming down from the north side, getting a full surround on this army, and it just doesn't seem like Bisu has enough. A couple of Storms just not going to cut it. The earlier High Templar snipes are starting to add up, and the natural is under threat. 2 High Templars, 1 Storm needs to be cast. It doesn't go down, and there's only 2 cannons, so the Hydra just pushing in. 3 seconds left until he's got a Storm, but there's just not enough stuff for Bisu to hold this back, and even if he does, Effort is just ranking away on units, and Bisu is losing the most important parts of his army.
This is crazy. Like, we're nearly 15 minutes into the game. We've seen 1 Storm being cast, and with a player that basically invented the way that we play PvZ, it's like unheard of. I don't even know what I'm looking at saying, but it does look like Bisu is getting overrun right now. There's just not enough stuff to hold on this choke point. Looks like he's gonna have to tap out soon. Unfortunately, just overwhelmed by the brute force macro ability of the alien Zerg. Effort. GG is called. Zerg putting 2 points on the board, trying to close the distance against Terran, and just 1 point for consolation prize here for the Protoss dugout.
All right, unfortunately, we did not get a replay from Bisu's perspective to see, you know, whether or not he actually had that Storm upgrade finished. Yeah, saving a bit of face for Bisu was Shun's comment. I think that was definitely a mistake from Bisu, though. I do believe he forgot Storm. Really rough way to go down. It's happened before, though, and Protoss takes 2nd place this week.
Yeah, but it does mean that we have a bit of a freeway race still going into week number 6, and all players, all dugouts separated by just 1 point. kind of making things interesting now. Will Terran be able to secure their lead further in these coming weeks? They're going to need to bring out Light and Rush like every week, I feel like, though, to clinch it out. I don't feel like you can run with the squad they've brought out here today. Like, don't get me wrong, as much as I like players like mine, they're just not quite up to the same standard as some of these other guys.
No, that's true. And the standard is so high now. It's crazy, crazy high with the players absolutely peaking here before ASL. There's going to be another KCM later on this week, guys. Assuming we can get to it, we can uh, schedule it between Shun and myself. We're going to find a way to get that to you as soon as possible. So look forward to week 6 coming up very, very soon. And then the ASL will begin next week. So excited, Shun. I bet you guys out there cannot even contain yourselves as we get into this next season. Let's go, boys.
So looking forward to it, man. And the groups are pretty crazy as well. There's more than one group I actually don't know how to call. I've got, obviously 2 favorite players from every group, but some of them are actually really difficult to know for sure how they are going to pan out. And there's also a couple of groups of death as well to look forward to. Going to be really spicy, and with the best of 1 format, you really don't know what's going to happen. Even players like Piano are back for round 2, and he already has shown us that despite not necessarily being a high-level caliber player, he's got enough pocket builds he can bring out in a best of 1 format to break away through to the round of 16. This is going to be super interesting. That's going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday coming up next week, guys. Don't miss it. We'll be casting that over on the Soup Live platform, ASL English, and the VODs will be uploaded to the Starcast TV YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's just the way it has to be done. I'd love to upload it on this channel, but unfortunately, there are rules with Soup and using their content. So we'll be following all the rules so we can keep on bringing you guys the ASL for many years to come. Looking forward to doing that cast with you here very soon, Shun. And
likewise,
all my favorite players are just playing so damn good. It's so exciting. I cannot wait. Really happy for Sharp this week and last week, taking out 2 of the best Zerg players in the whole world back to back. That's nuts.
Yes, not quite enough to bring them points this week, but we do have to give a big shout out to him, right? He's been exceeding some expectations lately, and I'm more than happy for him.
Absolutely, guys. Signing out here. Thanks for watching. See you in week number 6.
Thanks, guys.